So far we've looked at how to suspend one pot above the fire, and in the last 30 years travelling lightweight in the outdoors, those are the methods that I would really use most often. When you look at books on woodcraft, you'll find hundreds of ways of suspending pots, but what I've shown you are the techniques that really get used. But there will come a time when you want to cook with more than one pot, large groups, more elaborate meals. How do you go about that? Well, there are two classic methods. The first is the simple crane system. For this, we're going to have two fork sticks, which we're going to hammer into the ground with a crossbar going across the top. This is the method most people are aware of. I'm just beveling the top off of the central shaft so that when I hammer it, it won't split. And then across the top is a crossbar. So, very simple system, it's very effective. The problem comes in how do we suspend our pots from here? And there are a variety of ways we can go about that. One of the best is to use a piece of string, or better still a piece of wire on here. We could carry that with us. Sometimes we have snare wire with us, or wire for fishing. Or you could carry, if you wanted, a piece of wire inside your cooking pot. Well, depending on the length of your piece of wire, you can have a long piece with many different settings so that you get good adjustability over the fire. When it comes to carrying things with you, you could also carry a piece of chain with you with two hooks on it. One hook goes onto the pot, chain goes over, and you hook it onto the chain itself, and that gives you adjustability. But really, we should be looking at ways to improvise. What if we haven't got a piece of wire with us? We could use some string. Because this crossbar is quite high above the fire, it's unlikely that the string will burn through, even with nylon cord. If I attach a piece of string on here with a clove hitch, right, so, in fact you can improve that, make it a stronger knot if we take this and tuck it through there, which gives us a constrictor knot, which is even more appropriate because that locks down on itself and won't slip. Give ourselves about a thumb of dangle for a loop, and do the same again with the other end. Come through there, and another constrictor knot. So we've got this loop hanging down. Make sure everything's good and snug. We can now go to our old friend, the notch stick, and tuck him through there, and we've got good adjustability for our pot. That's a nice elegant solution. Obviously we can hang as many pots as we like along that bar, but what if we haven't got string? Here I've got a green stick, and what I'm going to do is twist it to soften the fibres, like making a withy, like that. And now, with a little twist, bend over into a loop, like so. And off of this stick, I'm going to take a strip of bark. I'm using sweet chestnut here, but you could be using willow, whatever is available. There's nearly always a tree that will give you a bark that can be used for string. And once you've bent that round, take your piece of bark, and guess what? We're going to wrap that around there. And we're going to finish off with our old friend, the clowfitch. Really is a very useful knot. Like so. Trim all this off. And there we are. A very simple but effective pot hanger. Now, if I move that bar along a little bit, add this one on there. You can see two elegant solutions to the problem of suspending more than one cooking pot simultaneously. And there's the makings of a more comprehensive meal. But what if the ground is hard and we need to suspend more than one pot? We go back to the tripod, but we use it in a slightly different way. And two of the cross pieces I've made longer, and I've left branches, little side branches on both of them at about the same height. And again, I've got a withy. I'm going to wrap around. Just wrap that around until it's good and strong. Okay. So there is a means of hanging our pot off of here. But we don't need to make these pot hangers adjustable because, being a tripod, all we have to do is move this rear post and we can easily adjust the height at which the crossbar is. We can drop things down, move things forward and adjust the height. So all we need now is a means of hanging our pot off of here. What I'd like to do is to show you what I think is the neatest and most elegant of the bushcraft pot hangers. I'm taking a bit more time over this pot hanger because this is a type of pot hanger that you would take with you, and all will become apparent. It begins with two hooked sticks. Two hook sticks. One is going to be the bottom and one is going to be the top of a pot hanger. The secret is how you join them. And what I'm looking for a straight section and a straight section that I can bring together. Now, this is very important. These, I've got to be very careful how I measure the next cut. I want both ends to be the same distance. Now, up here, I'm going to mark like so. And it's very important that I cut this so that they are equal. Good. What I'm doing is I'm cutting out half of the stick. Like that. And then I'll do the same in the other one, and these two then will join together. As bushcraft projects go, this one's quite a precise project. Those two pieces are going together, but that's only the beginning. It's another little thing we have to do yet. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to undercut this end. And now I'm going to, with the same angle, I'm going to trim off the tip here. And now I'm going to do the same on the other stick. First, I'm going to undercut it, like that, and now the same at this end. It's a fiddly job, this one. You have to be very careful here, because if you trim too much off one stick, you then have to compensate by trimming more off the other, and you can end up in a seesaw process where you end up with no sticks left. I'm not careful, because I want a really snug fit, and it is quite tricky to get it right. You see, they have to fit really snugly there. The next job now is halfway along this section where they're joined, is to make 2 marks as a guide, and now using those marks I'm going to just give myself a score mark across, like so. Put that together, turn it over, and to give myself exact reference, I'll make a score mark there and there, and I'll do the same again. And what I end up with, if I put it back together, is that. Now I need to make a peg to go through that hole. And that holds it together. And what I need to do now is just trim off this wedge so that it's not sticking out too long. It's neat, isn't it? I like to just trim the corners off, keep everything nice and tidy. And there we go, we've got our pot hanger with that little wedge holding it all together. Like that. And now we can suspend our pot over the fire. And as I said earlier, we can adjust the height by just lifting that like so. What's nice about these sorts of pot hangers is that because they come apart, you can carry them inside your billy can or your kettle and use them on many trips. It's a lovely, elegant solution. Let's go through there. And in my book, that is the best way of all to suspend a pot over the fire.